Heal Yourself with Sarah Dawkins, Episode 16, with guest Andrea Stadhalter. Andrea grew up in a family who showed emotion to each other but not to her. Her pet chicken became her best friend. As a young lady, she lacked self-love and affection, attracting toxic relationships as a consequence. Andrea married a covert narcissist and stayed with him for 20 years. At the age of 58, she studied to become a life coach and mediator and was able to divorce her husband. Today, she helps people who have been through trauma and are yearning to create self-love, teaching them how to remove toxicity from their lives and create fulfillment within. Andrea also assists professionals to find self-love and become the best versions of themselves for their business. So, Andrea, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you.
And you too. Would you like to share a bit more about yourself and your own healing journey?
Yes, I can do that. I was married to a covert narcissist, yes, and I realized something was off, but I didn't realize what it was. And I had an accident. I had become a heavy drinker because of stop putting everything away and not wanting to feel. And so I had an accident one night. I went out with some friends, and I was living close to the beach, and we were on our way back through the dunes, and I misstepped and I fell on the road, flat face, and broke my wrist, and my face was a mess. My teeth were loose, my lips were open, and everyone had a drink, and nobody could take me to the hospital. So I had to wake up my son, and I never forget this. The look in his face, the fear, the also realization that his mom had become toxic for him, I think, because there was a lot of emotions going through his eyes. And we went to the hospital, and there I said to him, you have to write my sisters now and telling them that I am drinking and I need help and I want to stop. So the next day I was at my doctor's, and I got some help. And well, I always say when I was finally sober, they asked me why I was drinking, and I said I need to leave my husband, and that came as a shock for me too. It was like, whoa, what did I say? But it was the point for me to change my life. I filed for divorce, and as everybody knows that divorcing a narcissist is not an easy task, and I ended up selling my apartment, and I went into hiding, and it was deepest lockdown. It was December 20. I had help from my sister and her husband. They came with a transporter. I had my own car. And they brought me into to a place in Germany, which was for long not known by not any other family member or even friends. And I had to give up some friendships to be safe, so they wouldn't tell my ex-husband where I was. Yeah, and I started my healing, and the healing was it was really a deep going down into your awareness and becoming aware of your thoughts. And I realized I didn't love myself. And every session started with the question, would I allow my subconscious mind to tell the truth, to really tell the truth? And I always said yes, because I was desperate for the change. And one session I will never forget, because I was asked whether this thought that I was not lovable, was that my own creation, or was it somebody given to me by somebody else? And my subconscious mind said that it was somebody else. And then they were asking me, and how long can you say? Is it 1 century back, 2, 3? And I said 2. And whilst I was sitting there, I got a vision of my grandmother. She's she just looked at me, and I looked at her, and it wasn't the look of I'm sorry or something like that. It was more like, now you know. Now you know. Yeah. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I didn't want to be the victim. That was for me clear. The moment I realized that I had been with a covert narcissist, this victim thing was not my thing. I didn't want to stay there. And that was my main reason, to understand my role in the whole interaction between us, the narcissist, and me, the overly empath, yeah, the people pleaser. And I needed to change that. Yes, and that's what I did. and I find it, and then I added another year. I added a year of all ultimate mindset mastery with Peter Sage. And Peter Sage used to work as a trainer for Tony Robbins for 15 years, and he has his own business. He has many businesses, and I decided I wanted to do this to manifest, to really starting the life of a person who loves herself, and I wanted to make sure that it would stay. Yeah. And now I teach exactly that, what I have learned others. Very fulfilling.
Fabulous.
Very fulfilling. Yeah.
Yeah. But it takes courage to want to dig inside as well, doesn't it? And find out, look for the answers.
Yes and no. I think when the pain is so much, so big, you can only go forward by changing it, changing yourself.
Yeah.
That is something I realized very, very soon. And I wasn't afraid, to be honest. And I decided, whatever I have done, I'm lovable. I am a lovable person.
Yeah.
Yes. And the one thing is forgiving. That is a part which is difficult. Forgiving yourself and forgiving others. That is very difficult. And Peter had a very good solution for that. It was why not phrase it in a different way? And why not show gratitude, feel the gratitude, and then say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn from this experience.
Yeah.
And this how I got around it. And yeah, I feel nothing towards my ex-husband, for example, or I wrote something about my mom, and I realized she wasn't taught to express love to her children. Yeah. She was very close to our dad. That was her love, and showing affection to us was not something she had learned.
No. And we're all a product of our life's experiences, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we tend to parent the way we were parented, because those skills, if you like, or lack of skills, are passed down through the generations.
Yes.
And I think because we tend to run on autopilot and not really become conscious of what we're doing, we just perpetuate the skills and the ways that we were parented.
Exactly. Yes.
And the other thing I want to mention is that the adversities that we go through, I love that you practice gratitude for it, because there is a lesson or a blessing in everything that we go through. And we gain skills and knowledge from that adversity. It makes us stronger, and we learn, and we
Yeah,
take that learning with us. We hold on to that and take it with us into our future.
that's very true. And there's no good or bad, because it's all a lesson to learn. And when you
Yeah,
can accept that, then you know, okay, yeah, I may have a heavy time, but it will pass. And
yeah.
it's there. Be grateful there and then, and don't wait a half a year and then look back and thinking, oh, this is why it happened to me, right? Do it the moment you go through it, and it makes life easier too, to accept it. Yes.
And acceptance is very powerful as well, isn't it? Because if we can learn to accept something's happened, then
Yes.
it empowers us to do something about it. And we can learn to accept that people do what people do, and we can't control that. And once we learn to accept that, it gives us the ability to let go of wanting to control that situation or that person.
Yeah. The one thing which was really a mind changer, where I really shifted, was also a lesson from Peter Sage, and it was about the human needs. I had never looked at it closely, and then he was explaining that it's a seesaw. On one hand, you have the certainty and the uncertainty, and we will up and down,
Yeah,
trying to balance. And the certainty is that you have your job, and the uncertainty is that you go for a holiday once a year, for example, right? And then on top you have the next layer, which is another seesaw, and there is significance and love and connection. And we have been programmed by our ancestors, our parents and grandparents, and the society around us, that we need to have the ideal husband, that we need to have with a good job, and we need to have a house, we need to have the kids, we need to have the tree in the garden, and the correct car, and then we are significant, right? And
yeah,
it doesn't make you happy, so you look for love and connection, and you try to get validated by others, and you constantly balancing these four. And I realized, damn, this is a rat race.
yeah.
You will never win. And that's why it is so important, the personal growth, and then giving contribute to the life of others. This is where your fulfillment is. And I think this is what was meant to be. If I go back, thinking about Bible lessons I had when I was a child, and I think, yeah, it was already set in there. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in religion or whatever religion you have. Whoever wrote them, let me put it like that, was a very wise person. Yeah. And
Yeah.
because we run away from all these beliefs, because yeah, for me it was I was brought up as a Catholic, and my parents were very strict. And the one thing I did when I was a grown up, I stepped out of church. I didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a very similar experience too. Brought up, had to go to church.
Yeah.
It was a Methodist church. And I got to the point where I don't want to go to church. And to not go to church, I ended up having to prepare the Sunday lunch. But for me, that was
I heard exactly the
it's
same story from my sister. Exactly.
really
Yeah, she said that yesterday. Yeah.
wow. But again, it's our parents' beliefs in what's in their eyes, what's right and
Yes.
what's wrong, what's proper and what's decent. And
Yeah.
they thought they were doing the best for us with what they did and the experience that they brought to us. But I think our parents are not of the generation that have been able to go inside and do some of the healing work. and become conscious in their lives and become conscious creators. They're just running on that autopilot, thinking that what they're doing is the right thing, because that's all they know. So it's not, there's nobody to blame. It's just as it was.
It's true, and I heard it in. It was a guest Oprah Winfrey had once, and he said that we can't blame our parents because they also had their traumas, and when we came on the world they were already broken people. Forgive them. That's what he said. Something like that. So I thought, it makes sense. It really makes sense. And when you actually, when you open for understanding, wanting to understand and accepting, it's changing life completely.
It is. Yeah. Because we're stepping out of that victim mode. It's easy to say, I'm a victim because they didn't bring me up right, or because this thing's happened to me, I'm a victim. It's so easy to say that, and I did it myself when I was in the depression. I really saw myself as a victim, and I played out that role. And it wasn't until I started doing my own healing, like yourself, like, I don't want to be this victim. I want to be, the victor. I want to step out of this and look back at the skills and knowledge I've gained, and have gratitude, accept that things happened. I didn't like what happened, but things happened. I can't do it. And express gratitude for it, because it's given me a different view of the world.
This is so important when you create your own identity, right? Because we can say I can't, then I am identifying with my I can't. But then when I say I can, I identify with I can. And I had this beautiful session with in a 4 days course with Peter, and he was also explaining the labeling. And I remember 2 years ago I was asked, it was Black Lives Matter, same time as now, and I was asked to make a video of who am I, who am I. And I was saying, I am Andrea Stadhalter. I am the mother of a son and a non-binary child. I am this and I am that. But this is not who I am. My name is Andrea Stadhalter. That is my first label given to me by my parents. Yes. And I am not my name. Totally not. So he was standing in front of us and he was screaming, "Who are you? Who are you? You now that you know your name as a label, what are you without your name? Who are you?" And I came to the conclusion, I am the authentic creator of my life. With that, I can empower and motivate and inspire others to create their love and life. This is who I am.
And we're all unique as well, aren't we?
Yes.
We can all be the creator of our lives if we accept that we can.
Exactly. And there you are.
And we can all express ourselves. We've got freedom of expression. We can be who we want to be. Well, why be anybody else? They're taken. Why not just come back to us? Who am I? Who's in my heart? Who's in my soul? Who am I at that deep level?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't know.
Session. Really, everybody went out of there with a big grin on their faces. It really is, and it's so nice to accept or realize that you don't have a soul. You are your soul. It was for me. It was a relief that I could say I am my soul. It was really a relief. And the one thing I have I always like to try help and teach others is how to deal with the bad and the good times. And there's such a great example. It's the chessboard. The chessboard is our life, and you have to go from one side to the other. The brown squares are the bad times, and the white squares are the good times. And if you would put a cloth over it, you wouldn't see those squares.
Yeah.
And the universe is like that everything is in balance, like light and dark, like yin and yang, like female, male. So it's 50-50. You will step on as many dark squares as on the white squares. And because we accept that it is a lesson, and there is no bad and there is no good. It's just a lesson we need to learn.
Yeah.
And when I say that in my webinars, people have this bingo moment. Bingo. They understand, oh yeah. And that's why it is so important to actually then also say, okay, it may be a really hard time I'm going through now, but I'm grateful for having this experience. And then you come to acceptance of your life as it is. And one thing we need to keep in mind is the universe doesn't give us what we want. The universe gives to what we are.
And what we need.
Yeah, and what we need. So it's up to us to make the choice. Am I the victim or am I the victor? Or am I I can't do it, or I can do it? Am I the one who has faith, or I am the one who's putting her head in the sand like I did?
Yeah. And me too. And I think it's about perception as well, because as you say, we can have good times and we can have bad times. And it's about how we view those times in our life. If we can have gratitude for it all and understand that the bad times will bring us something, skills, knowledge, abilities. The good times we can enjoy, but let's have gratitude for all of it, because we're getting something out of everything, out of every part of our life.
Yeah, that's true. But I think, like with everything, you have to go through the deep BS, just to say, to finally make the choice of, I want a different life. I don't want this anymore. I want to be happy. I want to get up in the morning and feel the life around me, feel the need, feel the spirit to get up and enjoy. And my finest moments are in the morning when I open. I'm so looking forward to summer again, or spring.
Oh, yes.
Because I go and sit on my balcony and just watch the birds.
Yeah. And the sunrise and the sunset.
Yeah. And we have here we have two squirrels, but the weather is so bad we have now right now. I don't even see them. I don't see them either.
Oh wow, they're hibernating.
Yeah, they come out and they go for and get some nuts which the neighbors put out, but then they disappear again. It's really weird, because did we not learn that they go into their nest or depot or whatever you call it, and they stay there all winter and sleep? They don't do that anymore. It's not cold enough.
Right.
Not cold enough.
It's certainly cold here. It was been -4 many nights.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is really cold. Yeah.
It is. But I think as well, it comes down to choice, doesn't it? We can choose what we want to do. And when we make that conscious choice, we are the manifestors, the creators of our life.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why it was so important for me after the healing to make sure that it would become and would stay my lifestyle. Yes,
Yeah.
because you need to nurture it every day. Like, yeah, your soul needs nurturing too, and your
It
heart.
does. It does,
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's about finding those things that nurture your soul as well, because we all have different things. There's a generalistic type of things that will nourish our soul, but we all like different things. Like
yeah,
some people like the mountains, some people like the sea, some people like quiet, some people like noise. And we
yeah,
have to know what we like and do more of it
yeah. And
consciously.
sometimes I think now that that you say some people like it quiet. Now that I was into the situation that I had to be on my own. There was no way around it. I had to be on my own. And here in a new city, unknown by me, in deepest lockdown, quarantine for 10 days, and I learned to be with myself.
Yeah.
And that is also when you learn to be with yourself and feel completely content. You cracked it then, haven't you? You really
Yes.
cracked it then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I had a similar thing when I suffered with the depression. I thought I was a people's person, but what I realized now is I was a people pleaser. And I
Mm.
wanted to be out with people, pleasing people, because I thought that
Yeah.
nourished my soul. But when I went into that deep, dark depression and I barely went out of the house by myself, I had to start doing that work because I was just sat with myself and my feelings.
Mm. Mm.
And I think a lot of people, and myself included in that initially, we don't want to sit with those feelings. So we'll
Oh,
drown them. And I too took to alcohol and had a drink problem for a while. Other people will eat,
yeah.
eat in excess. Other people will party all night. And, we can all do all of these things, which ultimately is numbing us down so that we don't feel. And we'll do anything but sit with those feelings.
Yeah. I
Sometimes life has a way of throwing you that curveball to make
yeah.
you sit.
Like and like we all say, well, you have sort of thoughts in the morning. You don't think you haven't. You get up and you are yeah. And I actually had this week. I was thinking, and then I was thinking. I was saying to myself, Andrea, was that a bad thought? No, it was actually a good thought. It was positive. I was like, ah. So just listening also within and seeing, yeah, what is the thought? And the nicest part is then when you meditate and you start breathing, you're empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're empty. I mean, I meditate also with Jay Shetty Genius Group. I'm a member
Oh
there
yeah.
as well. So yeah, and funny part is when you asked, and what is your thought then? There is no thought. It's quiet. It's
Yeah.
really quiet. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I found, excuse me, when I was really depressed,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't empty my mind because I had this
Mm.
voice nagging at me, you're worthless. Who are you? What do you think you're doing? You're nobody. So when I was that deeply depressed, I had to use the guided meditations so that I could listen to somebody else's voice and make those pictures
Yes.
to quiet and that voice. And
Yeah.
once I'd started healing, I realized that whilst that voice sounded like mine in my head, the words weren't mine. The words were from other people in my younger years.
Yeah.
And as I started healing, I found then that I could do quiet meditations and empty my mind and just be.
Yeah. Return to sender.
Yeah,
Return to
yeah,
sender. That's what you have to do. Yeah,
yeah,
I heard that when I first heard it. I thought, what is she talking about? What is she talking about?
yeah.
Yeah,
But I'll
but
also, I learned to, if I've got a voice in my head, nowadays it can be anything, some, intrusive thoughts. And I learned to see it in a bubble and an imaginary pair of scissors and cut that bubble off so it went away.
That's a good one. Yes.
Yeah, and that really works for me. And it was just, something that it just sort of came intuitively to me that I thought,
That's a
well,
good
I'll just cut that
practice.
off.
That's a
Yeah.
good practice. Yeah, I had a post this week, and I wrote about let go and write it on a piece of paper and burn it. That works too. It's
Yes.
very therapeutic to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was telling somebody recently when I started writing my book, I actually started writing about how I was the victim, what had happened, how it was unfair, and it shouldn't be able to be like this. And I felt there was a huge injustice against me. And I threw out 10,000 words onto my computer, and it was so cathartic. And I realized I needed to do that. But
Yeah.
then it was later down the line when I realized that my book needed to be more about healing rather than poor me as the victim, which was how I felt when I wrote it.
Yeah.
So I deleted it all. And it felt so good just to get it out of me, because I could just like spew all these words out. I didn't have to say them to anybody. Nobody needed to know how I felt, but I could be really intimate with my computer and how I felt, and then just deleted it all.
Yeah. I did that journaling. I did journaling in those days and wrote down, I don't know, whatever I wrote down. It's all there, and they are here somewhere in the house, but I haven't looked back. But I leave them there because I want to yeah, to go back
Reflect.
one day and just have a look.
Yes.
It's also good to give yourself a pat on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, see how far you have come." Yeah.
Yes.
And recently, I heard a really good one is Future Me. That is a website. You can write a letter to your future self, and in there you put all what you think how your life will look like in 6 months' time, for example.
Yes.
And to get that after 6 months, it's also. I'm still waiting for my first, but I guess it's exciting. I'm excited about it already.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, when I was in that dark place and I'd started to feel a bit lighter, because I'd started to meditate initially just on finding peace in myself, and quieting down all these intrusive thoughts. And once I'd started to feel better and had found a bit of peace, I started to meditate on my future. And the first thing was, I'm going to set a business up, and I don't just want to be a business owner. I want to be an award-winning business owner. I need to be somebody. I need to prove that I can do something.
Good.
And part of that came from a place of not feeling worthy. It's like, so I need more letters after my name and more validation of who I am through awards.
Yeah.
And I manifested that. I won 2 separate competitions. And I manifest, but it's only now I look back, I'm like, I just needed validation. So yes, I've manifested what I thought about, because I went to the future,
Yeah.
saw myself in that future, felt those emotions around that future self, and then drew it all back into me. And really sat with that feeling of that future me, of how it will be if that was right here, right now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that we can do for ourselves
Oh yeah. Oh
to
yeah.
pull us forwards.
I wrote last year in my gratitude book. I wrote every day in the future that I was so grateful for my wooden house. I wanted a wooden house and the white dog. And I had with the white dog with me on the terrace doing yoga. And I had this thing about what is the white dog doing there, But then it was not last year, it was 2 years back. And then I got a job, and that was completely unexpected. I was taking care of a woman who had suffered from a brain attack, and how do you call that brain?
Stroke.
A
A
stroke.
stroke.
A stroke. Yeah, a stroke. And she needed some care in. They were in a hotel. This couple was in a hotel, and she needed help for 4 weeks, and I did that. And what I didn't know, it's a well-known artist in getting millions for his art. Didn't know anything about him, and they had on a deserted island a wooden house, and I didn't know that until we went there one day.
Wow.
And there I looked at it, and I thought, there is my wooden house. Not mine, but it was the wooden house, right? And to be honest, it was not luxurious enough to be my wooden house, but
Okay.
it was really great. And the one thing was, there was a private beach because there was nobody living there. And I'm not such a brave one jumping into the sea or so. That day, I took my clothes off and I ran into the sea, and I let the sea throw me back on the beach. I thought, I need to celebrate this. This is my wooden house.
Yeah.
And last week, I met the white dog. You saw him on the picture?
Oh, yes.
And he was my big friend. Wherever I was, he was. And Falco, yeah, really lovely little dog. Yeah.
And that's just proof from us both that we've gone into the future and we've brought it into our present.
Yeah.
So manifestation can be done. It's just a question of understanding that, when we go to the future, we need to put those emotions around it and feel it and bring it into the now. And that's how it is. But it's got to be for our highest good. We can't just have anything and everything that we want. But if it's for our highest good, it will come to fruition.
Yeah. And it comes when you need it. And I needed a cuddle, I guess. I'm sure I needed a cuddle. So I had lots of cuddles last week.
Yes.
So
it's not your dog?
No, not my dog. And my sister said, Andrea, how about you getting a dog? And I said, well, I'm traveling so much lately.
Yeah.
No, I'm not settled yet. No. Well, it has to wait. It wouldn't be fair. Wouldn't be fair for the dog.
No. And we can't just think about ourselves, can we, when there's animals involved? We need to think about them as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Andrea, have you got one thing that you could share that people could do for themselves? One small thing that somebody could do for themselves to help themselves on their own healing journey?
Yes, and it's quite an important one. It's actually sitting down and thinking, what do I like about myself and what don't I like about myself? And write these things down. And I also write down the why. Why do you like this and why don't you like this? And is there something you could do about it? Yeah, just don't let it be there. Just look at it, the things you don't like, and ask yourself, can I change it?
Yeah.
Do I want to change it? Or is it okay as it is? Because we can also come to the conclusion, hey, I don't like my legs because I have varicose veins, but the legs still carry me through the world. Yeah. And and then from there, when you have done this for yourself, ask the people who are really mean something to you, like your family and your real friends. Ask them the question. Ask them what they think about you, and people will be surprised, because first they will come with really nice character signs about you, where you think, wow, and they will most likely say, I wish there and there would be more confidence. And that is a hint to your limiting belief. That's a hint to the thought you have created, which makes you stay where you are at instead of getting out of your comfort zone and embracing life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stepping forwards into those fears.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my advice.
And that's wonderful advice. Thank you. Thank you. Because I think we can always be a bit critical of ourselves. But if we start with our own beliefs and values, and what we like and what we don't like, and then we ask our friends can throw a different perspective in it as well at times, something that
Absolutely.
we can't see. We can be blinded to parts of us and we never
Yeah,
see them.
yeah,
So asking somebody else will highlight that for us too.
yeah. It's an insightful thing to do. Absolutely. I did it with my. I asked my son, and he pointed out exactly. I wish my mom would be more confident in this and that. And that was exactly what was making me stuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And we don't often see it ourselves.
No.
It needs somebody else to point that out for us.
Yeah. And ask those who truly love you.
Yeah. To be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. Because not everybody can be honest with everybody because they fear hurting people. So you
Oh
need to
yeah.
choose those people wisely that you're asking for
Yeah.
that critical feedback from.
Yeah. True.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And Andrea, would you like to share where people can get hold of you? Where can they find you?
Yeah. They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, and I have a small YouTube channel which I started, and there will be videos on a regular base, and that's where you can find me. So
Wonderful. And I'll share some links down below in the text as well.
thank you.
And I just want to let everybody know as well that you were one of the guests on my Heal Yourself online live summit in January, sharing some of your own wisdom through that live summit, again, to help other people. So I will also put that link to this video so that people can find you there as well.
Thank you. That is really wonderful.
And thank you too, Andrea.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it talking to you.
It's been fabulous as always. I love sharing wisdom.
Yeah, well, that's the best way, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.